Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Bianca Lager, and I'm providing you advice on the business decisions and leadership problems that is clogging up your mental inbox. So let's get you to inbox zero. All right, the question of the week is, I started my business with a clear vision of what I wanted it to become. Don't we all? But as we've grown, I feel like we're straying from the original mission to chase more immediate revenue. I want to get back on track, but I'm worried. I'm worried about how my team will react to a shift in priorities. How do I steer the business back in line with my long-term vision? Okay, I love this entrepreneurial question. Entrepreneurial king or queen here. Love to see it. This is so common and so necessary sometimes, I think, on both sides of the coin. I mean, listen, this is a business. You need to make money. And a lot of times what we think will sell or what we think the market wants is not what it wants. And so you start doing what the market wants and you start making money, but it's not really what you wanted to do. Now, I mean, there's two ways to think about this, and it really, really depends on a lot of the details and the circumstances here. So I'm gonna kind of paint with a broad brush. This is a pretty broad question, I guess. But I think there's two things that you need to think about. Number one is you really kind of need to do some sitting down and do some soul searching of what don't you like about what's happening? Do you not like what are the fundamentals of what's going on? What's your difficulty? Is it because you don't like what you're doing now? And is it you personally or the company? Is it the work that you find yourself participating in and creating that you just don't enjoy? And that's fine. That might be a very real thing for you to kind of come to terms with. But I mean, looking at the questions, let's say you strain from the original message to chase more immediate revenue. Okay, so is it that you feel like you're going off mission? Maybe you started a company creating healthy snacks for kids, but suddenly here you are, selling things with sugar in them, and you're kind of this is not what we wanted to do, but it tastes good. That's what people are buying. I don't know. That's a pretty complicated business, actually. But I think it paints a really good picture about what we're talking about here, where it's hey, my mission was actually to deliver healthy snacks. And I feel like what we're doing is not doing that right now. And so I think you would look at that in a couple different ways. I think that if I'm a founder of that snack company, and all of a sudden we are, getting into candy territory or getting into territory where it's not exactly what we signed up for or what we intended to do. I think understand where the bar is and what your measurement is. And if you are overall going to that right place, meaning for the healthy snacks example, if you are a company that gives a better alternative than maybe some of the more processed foods that kids eat, then you are closer to that mission than you are farther away. So there is something to look at first with you personally, I think. Are you not enjoying yourself? That could very well be too, right? If you're running a company and suddenly you're doing things that you're uncomfortable with and it feels like we're creating products or we're doing things that is so far away from the things that I'm used to having in control with, that can feel really scary. That can feel like this isn't your company anymore. It wasn't your vision. But also the actual outcome of what's happening with the product. So is it a you problem or is it the product? The product that you have a problem with? Either way, I think you get the point that it really is a perspective conversation with yourself. And I mean, here's the thing about chasing immediate revenue. It could definitely get you into major trouble because sometimes what you end up doing, especially in the early days, is that you customize a lot. Every customer comes to you and says, yeah, I mean, I like what you do, like love the healthy snacks. However, can we drop the carrots and add some chips in there, just because, like, if we sell to this school district, like they're never gonna buy that. Like, it's just they have too many carrots. Whatever, right? I think that it's a really easy thing to do, to be like, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I know. Chips for you, but we do carrots for everybody else, right? And then all of a sudden you have this operational and a non-scalable nightmare where essentially you're creating this like one batch for this one client that has chips while everybody else gets carrots, or that's what you want to create. Sometimes more and more people take the chip options, and then your business does just shift to, okay, we sell snacks with chips, but maybe they're a little bit healthier chips. So I think that's how you have to understand the pivots of your business, and to go, the market is going to respond, but be also very conscious of not catering to every single client that comes your way with a special request. They're all special unicorns. And so that can feel like a really big deviation as well, when all of a sudden you think you're kind of just doing a bunch of different things for various people, but you really aren't back on track with the original thing of, hey, I was just trying to sell some like hummus and carrots packaged together, right? And now we're kind of doing all this other stuff. So, at the end of the day, I think that there's a couple problems, for you to think about. The soul searching of yourself, to consider whether you just personally aren't liking what you are doing, whether you just fundamentally disagree with the products, or you're just like, I just never wanted to sell chips. Like, why are we selling chips? The answer to that maybe is because they sell better than the carrots. And so that soul searching comes down to, do you want to be a chips manufacturer? Are you somebody who is going to live to respond to the market and find a way to improve that market closer to what your original mission was? Or are you out? Are you just like, these people want chips? That's not what I do. I'll sell carrots, but I'm going to have to scale down maybe, because the market that wants the carrots is a lot smaller than the market that wants the chips. So you have to readjust your goals to kind of think about, okay, carrots only. Now, all of these things, all of these soul searching things, these are important questions for you to ask. These are important perspectives and things to think about. I think the best thing that you can do to help you figure this all out is talk to your team. I'm hoping at least you have at least one person on your team, if not two, that you can rely on and trust, and you can have an open and candid conversation. And now this is a theme that I talk about a lot in a lot of different ways, is that you have to trust the people on your team and you have to be vulnerable to them. Now, mentions here in the question about like, you're worried about how your team will react or shift in priorities. That tells me a couple of different things maybe about you. One is that, well, first of all, you are considerate, or that you're aware of the maybe reactions, or you have some sort of emotional intelligence. You're reading the room in some way that, like, I want to bring this up, but I feel like they're not going to like me bringing this up. That could be true for a number of reasons. It could be true because you always change your mind. You might be one of those bosses that are all over the place. And so you're like, I cannot yet again tell these people we're going in a different direction. Okay. So you could be conscious of that. And congratulations for acknowledging and understanding that maybe this is going to drive people nuts. But you might not be a person that is very trusting or very vulnerable with your staff. And that's a problem as well. This is a problem because you're going to have self-doubt. You are going to make the wrong decision. You're going to mess up. You're going to not always have all the answers. And as you grow your business, you need to count and rely on the people on your team very, very intimately sometimes, and very vulnerably, and to say, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. Okay, the camera died, but I'm back. So the next point I was going to make is that you might not be, by the conversation of, I'm worried about what they're going to think, shifting priorities, you might be a leader who kind of has a lot of guards up around your staff, and you think that you're the person that always has to have the answers, and you're sort of not really very trusting actually of the staff that you have. You might be worried that they either won't like what you have to say, they don't trust what you have to say, or that you don't have confidence in what you're saying, or just that, they're going to say, this person sucks, I'm out of here. I think a couple different things. I think, well, in terms of something that I speak about a lot, which is having really powerful, trusting relationships with your staff can make or break the success of your business. You are not an omniscient, all-knowing being. And the people that are doing the work in your staff know a lot more than probably you do at this point. They're talking to customers, they're interacting, they're taking orders, they're, doing whatever, right? And so, it's really important to build really close, trusting, and quite vulnerable relationships so that you can have these conversations and you can say, hey, like, what do you think? I'm kind of feeling like we're getting away from this original mission. I feel kind of weird about, how we're chasing revenue. What do you think? Do you think it's working? Are we sort of selling out here? Are we kind of missing the mark? Like, what do you think? The people on your team might be as principled as you, might be as, like, yeah, I feel like we're selling these products, like these potato chips. Like, we don't want to do potato chips. Like, that's not what I signed up for. What are we doing? Or yeah, they push back and they say, well, potato chips sell and we're making money, and isn't that what we want to do? This is a business. Like, what are we doing here? So that is a conversation to be had internally. And I think the first step is to have it with the few trusted people that you have, hopefully somebody on your senior leadership staff. And if you don't have anybody yet like that, or if you haven't established relationships, this is a really good opportunity to open up to somebody, somebody that you think can handle this conversation. Say, hey, I'd appreciate your professional maturity here. This journey as everybody's boss here and just trying to create this company, I'm really questioning some things about how we're creating revenue, and I want to hear your thoughts. And boy, do people love giving their thoughts, and they have them. And I think you should respect the people on your team and know that they might have better answers than you. And don't worry about just like, I know, and this is so common as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, you wake up and you're like, this is what we have to do. We've been doing it all wrong. And yeah, you're right. Nobody wants to work for that person. Nobody wants to work for the person that's constantly changing their mind, kind of being a crazy person, right? So have this as an open dialogue, an open conversation. Get the temperature of the most trusted people that you have at your company. And then if you guys think it's necessary, open it up to others. But the conversation could end there. You guys could make this decision, kind of say, I think we're actually okay. Or no, we should explore some ways that we could kind of carefully go back and steer our way back to that original mission. Just have, fight the urgency of changing things tomorrow. Fight that and fight it with everything you got, okay? The best thing that you can do is really consider what your options are and strategize what you want to do going forward. So again, to kind of recap, go over your own personal understanding of how you feel about your work, how you're showing up every day. Is the fundamentals of your difficulty and your sort of lack of confidence of what your business is doing, is it have to do with the personal work that you're doing? Because there's ways to fix that. There's roles to be played. There's delegation to have. There's ways to go about that. Or is it the fundamental of the products and how you're coming to market? And if you are coming to market in a way that you feel is challenging or that you don't like, then again, that next step is to look at the trusted people on your team. Make sure that you have candid conversations and vulnerable conversations around your thoughts and get their feedback. Understand what they're saying. Talk to the people that are talking to customers and get feedback there and understand, what your potential options could be and what that would look like and how that would impact revenue. These are the things that you have to decide. And then you have to decide what your goals are. And I think that at this point, it sounds like you have a fairly mature company, that it's not just your company anymore. You do have to understand that this affects your customers, your team. So, are your personal feelings about the products that you're bringing to market, can those be re-strategized or reworked into your strategy in a careful and deliberate way rather than a reactive way? So good luck. I think this is a really interesting, and you're definitely not alone. There's a lot of people out there and entrepreneurs. Please chime in, because I bet there's a lot of people who have gone through this to say, totally, I started this company and I thought it was going to be one thing and now it's totally another thing. That pivot might be okay, or that pivot might not be okay with you, but do take time to consider what the options are, and build those trusting relationships with your team, regardless of this challenge or others. That's always going to serve you well. You can't do this alone. So anyway, thank you all. Again, I'm Bianca Lager. If you want to learn more about me, please visit BiancaLager.com. Follow me on socials. You can find me mostly on LinkedIn and Instagram. It's been a pleasure to help you out with the advice and issues, business decisions that clog up your mental inbox and get you back to inbox zero. Talk to you next week. Thanks, guys.